So much this is difficult, believe me. 20 seconds for each piece. First piece that you'll see is Boomstick Alley. It's at Bonnybrook. The piece was painted, and then I went to the people who built that. If you walk Bonnybrook, you've seen this. I wanted to know their names so I could put it to the title. They said, no, the better title would be what we call that. We call it Boomstick Alley. So that's what that piece is all about. Changing times. I went back to Ontario to be with my mother for the last month of her life. And while I was there, just before her passing, I took a photograph of the maple leaves in the backyard of my sister's home. I came back to British Columbia and painted it. And as I did, I realized it was a tribute to my mother passing. Changing times. Chapman Creek. A painting I did, and when it was finished, I realized I had to give the image away. And so that image was given to the Chapman Creek Fishery. They created posters with it, put it on bags and such, and have been raising money for the raising of salmon and trout here on the Sunshine Coast ever since with that money. Shades of Brilliance down at Georgia Beach. I sat down there one evening as the sun was setting, and it lit the trees up as you see there and became a really brilliant, majestic piece when it's hanging on the wall. Popham is on Popham Island, and I paddle outrigger canoes. And one morning we went and paddled out over to Popham, and I asked, we were with a crew that likes to work out, and they were a little disgruntled when I asked them to stop paddling. I had to take that photograph and then came home and did the painting that's now called Popham. Sunset together. My wife and I often walk Bonnybrook. One evening, as the sun was setting, that bench was empty. I put the camera in the center of the road, hoping a car wouldn't come by. Raced and snuggled my wife, took the photograph, and came home and did the painting that's called Sunset Together. Skookum Calatan. In 1997, you'll remember that the RCMP did a major canoe journey down the west coast of Canada. I was proud to be a part of that. We paddled from Hazelton to Victoria. That was the last day of paddling. We came down and around the point and into Victoria. Remember When painted this fall over on Keats Island. When we paddle out in the early morning in our outrigger canoes, in the summer we'll paddle around the other side of Keats Island into a little bay that I call Tranquility Bay. This was our last day of paddling in the fall before we can't go out there anymore for the winter. Remember When. This painting is done in the Lightning Lakes up in Manning Park, Lightning Lake Bonsai. Quickly, the story about this one is, you know, on Google Earth you can tap on pictures and come up and see photographs. I submitted this painting. If you look in the Lightning Lakes, they accepted my painting as a photograph. In keeping with our first presenter, this is a painting of Fish Lake. And this is the lake that was called by the British Columbia Ministry of Fisheries to Bill Good on his show as an insignificant lake. That's the one Taseko Mines wants to fill in with mine tailings. I donated that image to the First Nations people for their fundraising, incidentally, so that they're making a buck on it. This is Hotel Lake at sunrise. I just got up with my coffee and camera and went down and found that photograph, and it became that painting, and it brings back fond memories. The year before the Olympics, I went looking for an image that would say something about the Olympics. Searched for 2 days up there, couldn't find anything. As we were leaving, my wife said, "Stop the car." We were coming out of the Callahan Valley. I walked back onto the bridge, and there was the picture of Black Tusk. Pumpkin Mountain, on returning from the center of BC looking for paintings. One time I stopped at Karamias to pick up some food to bring home. It was in the fall, and as I was going back to the car, Pumpkin Mountain was right there beside me. It's the first time I've ever tackled anything like that. This painting is the only painting I ever did for my wife. I actually have the photograph that I took just like that. I always paint from photographs. And my wife would grow up with the nickname of Crow. And so as I did that painting, I knew it was for her. It's signed on the bottom, to my lovely wife, Joy, I love you. That's all. This one is called Awesome. That's in the 97 canoe journey. That's up near Prince Rupert, and that was exactly what it looked like one night with one of our crew and the sun out behind them, silhouetting them, and an appropriate title, Awesome. Now That's Iron was created for the Howe Sound Outrigger races. The year before, one of the Hawaiian paddlers had flipped out here in August in the race and had come back hypothermic, thinking us Canadians are crazy to paddle in these cold waters. I did that painting to show that we paddle in the cold winter here. This was our campsite at Banfield in the Pulling Together Canoe Journey 2 years ago. The morning fog came in. I was the first up, and I photographed about 1/5 of all the tents that we had with the fog in the mountains and hills behind us. Boise Island is up in Porpoise Bay, and I was taking a tour of people around in the big Voyager canoe one time, and all beginners, just taking them on a sightseeing trip. And as we came around and in this little bay, that rock hit me with the beautiful arbutus of it. I had to stop the canoe, take the photograph, and it became the painting known as Boise Island. Secret Passage. When we paddle around the other side of Keats, when the tide is right, you can go right around that point and in behind that rock and through. You can only do it at certain tides. And I found that, and we do it all the time in the outrigger. And that's why I call this painting Secret Passage. And there is beauty in what the earth is bringing us right now. This is the pine beetle in the forest up at Manning Park. And a lot of people look at that and say, what a beautiful painting. And I remind them it's of death. And it is a time of, as the title says, transition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That's a quick attempt.